before I do. All right, so again, the importance of these quizzes is multifold. Excuse me, Andre. Quizzes should tell you what you don't know, but they also tell me what you don't know. And I personally thought number 1 was really easy. I thought number 2 was really easy. I thought number 3 was really easy. And I thought number 4 was easy but weird, so that you would miss it the first time and then not miss it after the first time. Yet, the most popularly missed questions, one of them was number 3. And I was really surprised that there was such a problem on number 3. So, again, the quiz taught me something that you guys were not as good at as I thought you should have been. So, this is a good thing. Otherwise, we'd have gone through the rest of the year and I'd have just continued marching along saying, of course they know how to do number 3. That's an easy question. And apparently it's not working. Now, I don't know if it's because it's the day back after a vacation or whatever the reason, but the cool thing is that the reason is irrelevant. I really don't care. Let's do number 3 first, number 4, and then go back to 1 and 2. As far as number 3 goes, it says to factor 9c squared minus 100. Now, I want to give you an easier one first. I think one of the very first examples of this we ever gave was x squared minus 25. And we said technically that's really x squared plus 0x minus 25. We just don't bother writing the x term in the middle because there's no x's. And then we said that this was the difference of 2 perfect squares. And we said that we learned this by pattern. X squared minus 25 works out to be x plus 5, x minus 5. Now the reason it works is x times x is x squared, but x times negative 5 is minus 5x's, and 5 times x is positive 5x's. So what do negative 5x's and positive 5x's add up to? 0 x's. And that's why there are no x's in the middle here, and then positive 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. So with that in mind, what would x squared minus 49 be? Everybody? Well, those are the numbers. What are the whole binomial factors?
X plus 7.
That's right, x plus 7, x minus 7. So what we learn here is that this one is of a pattern that I can square root them both. Square root of x squared is x, square root of 25 is 5. Square root of x squared is x, square root of 49 is 7. What if I said x squared minus 4? What would that work out to be? Everybody?
X plus 2.
X plus 2 and what? X minus 2. So it's a great way to do this by pattern. Again, I'm square rooting x squared, I'm square rooting 4. So now let's go up here and do some square rooting. Now, I think the easy part is the plus 10 and the minus 10. What would the square root of 9c squared be? 3c. So the answer is 3c plus 10 and 3c minus 10. Yeah, and here's the thing. To me, do you guys remember that we went through this whole thing and we developed it and we gave you like daily do-its for a week or so that had questions like this on it? Do you remember this now? All right, well, then maybe it's because it was vacation last week. But whatever the reason and whatever the case, this is a very important question. It's pretty traditional that at some place on your Regents exam, there will be some kind of a difference of 2 perfect squares factoring, and there's a chance it'll have a coefficient in front of the c squared like the 9. Okay? So obviously we need to be prepared for this. Now, let's take just a second to talk about your upcoming quiz, or your upcoming test. You will have a test next week on Friday, okay? So it's going to include material from before the break, it's going to include material from this week, and Monday and Tuesday, and then you have a pre-test Wednesday next week, a pre-test Thursday next week, and a test Friday next week. Now, what exactly is it that is going to be going on this test? Tons of factoring, tons of it. So if you're not good at factoring, I will be at the library tomorrow night. I will be at Extra Help Wednesday. I'll be at Extra Help Thursday. Learn how to factor. If you are strong at factoring, you're off to a really good start on the test. If you are not, there will be a relearn packet It's not the end of the market period. You will have tons of work to do to make up. Okay, so you really want to make sure you strengthen your factoring. Now, I'm telling you now because the test is in almost 2 weeks. So if you're responsible about it and you strengthen your factoring, you'll be ready for that test. Otherwise, you're going to have to do a whole lot of work after the test and the relearn packet. Okay. Now, number 4. This was the question I expected to be very difficult for you guys. Keith determines the zeros of the function f of x to be -6 and 5. What could be Keith's function? All right, so the zeros are -6 and 5. Now, zeros are also known as roots. In other words, they're the solutions. So when you look at the 4 choices, what they did is they already factored it for you. The 4 choices are f of x is equal to x plus 5, x plus 6, f of x equals x plus 5, x minus 6, f of x equals x minus 5, x plus 6, and f of x equals x minus 5, x minus 6. Now let's take a look at this last one here. If I was to solve this, remember we get to the point where we factor and we solve a quadratic equation. If we get to the point where x minus 5 times x minus 6 is 0, maybe it's the guy on the left, maybe it's the guy on the right. Add 5, x is 5, plus 6, x is 6. So 5 and 6 would be the answers. Do you remember how you learned the pattern of reversing them? Right? Is that ringing a bell from before the break? So which of these 4 choices do you think would work for -6 and +5? Which one? This one, right? Because if it's x plus 6 equals 0, when I subtract 6 from both sides, I'm going to get x is -6. And if it's x minus 5, when I add 5 to both sides, I'm going to get x equals 5. So the correct answer was choice 3. Okay? Does that make sense? So now, do you understand why I thought it would be a really weird question and difficult for you, but that once you saw it, I think it's easy tomorrow? Does everybody agree that tomorrow when they see this question, they're like, that's it? That's all I got to do? Know to reverse the signs? Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about number 1 and number 2. By and large, I think we did pretty well on number 1. Let me see if my impressions are right. How many people got number 1 right? I think that's pretty much everybody. All right, I'm going to allow Leanne to show it to you in just a minute, okay? And then as far as number 2, how many people got number 2 right? Okay, so we're going to let you 2 guys talk to people. The big thing to remember about number 2 is whether the lines are broken or solid and whether you shade above and below. Okay? All right. So we'll have you guys cover numbers 1 and 2 with each other to get that a little bit taken care of. And that works fine with us because in a minute we'll be able to start, right now we're going to start to do it, and then we have 1 additional question to do, and then I will definitely be able to turn you loose to start your homework before we end class today. And when you start your homework, that's the moment when if you got number 1 or number 2 wrong, you can just talk to somebody around you and find where your mistake was. If that doesn't satisfy you, bring it up to me, and we'll be able to work on things. Okay. You know, I'm not looking at anybody's paper right now. Actually, I'm trying to look, and I'm not getting a very good view. But I'm not seeing, like I look at Leanne's paper, and I don't see this question completely done. Know what I mean? So why don't we get ourselves focused here? Letting go of the hair helps. I know, and I'm jealous that I don't have hair to do that with. But listen, if your attention goes to your hair, it's not going to go to how to do this question. So, would you like my scissors?
No.
Oh, I thought you just cut where the knot is.
No.
Oh, God heaven forbid. Now, okay. Find 2 consecutive integers whose product is 99. Is this problem about shapes? No. So what do we always write out if it's not about a shape? A table. Very good. So, I'm going to go first consecutive odd integer, second consecutive odd integer, and this is going to be n, and the next odd integer is what, everybody? N plus what? 2, good. Okay, so there's my setup, and here's the thing that I want you to understand. The note. There are 2 different pairs of consecutive odd integers, and what?
Algebraic solution
Yeah.
would be different.
How many people looked at this right away and said 11 times 9? You didn't? How else do you get 99?
I don't know.
Right, there's 33 and 3, and they're not consecutive, and then there's 11 and 9.
3 and something.
33,
There you go.
that's what I just said.
You said 11 and 9.
And then I said there's 33 and 3.
Oh.
So, that's okay, I understand. It was a long vacation, Andre. Now,
What about 6?
6 doesn't go into 99. Okay, now, excuse me, look. This only an algebraic solution is a really important thing. It means that if you use any technique other than algebra to get it right, you cannot get full credit. Now, if I were taking my Regents exam and I saw those directions and I had absolutely no idea how to do it with algebra, I would do it another way, like maybe trial and error. But if you use trial and error, you have to take at least 3 guesses that are wrong before you get one right. So even if you saw 11 and 9, you'd have to put like 3 and 33, 1 and 99, I don't know, whatever, 14.5 and whatever that times to get 99, and then the correct answer. Otherwise, you can't get any credit. Now, it just as an interesting sidelight, and I will tell this story many times before the end of the year because it's important for your testing ability. The first year I taught, there was a problem in, the first year I taught, back then it was called Math B. It's the equivalent of Algebra 2 Trig. And it was a high school level class, and there was one that said only an algebraic solution is accepted. And I told the kids on the test that they had to use algebra no matter what. And then when I got the answer key, it said that, and this was a 6-point question, it said that if you did it with a system other than algebra, you could still earn up to 4 points. So there were some kids who used algebra and only got 0 points or 2 points. And if you had used the graphing calculator and graphed it, it was an easy 4 points out of 6. So since then, what I've done is I've told kids, you can't get full credit if you don't use algebra, but you can get partial credit. So if you have an idea how to use algebra, always use the algebra, because you'll get maximum partial credit, only shot at full credit. But if you don't know how to use algebra, and you have absolutely no idea, you're stuck, then use a different technique, and you can at least get something, okay? Now, it says here, find 2 consecutive odd integers whose product. What does product mean? Multiply. So n times n plus 2 is 99. Distribute the n, and boy, oh boy, do I think there's one just like this on your test coming up. There's definitely something like this on your test coming up. N squared plus 2n is 99. Now, I said to you there's tons of factoring on your test. There's also a decent amount of quadratic equations. What's the next step? Andre?
Get 99 on the side.
That's right. Want to get it all on the same side as the n squared. N squared plus 2n equals negative 99. I'm sorry, scratch that. Minus 99 equals 0. And then I factor this and I get n plus 11 times n minus 9 equals 0. Maybe it's the guy on the left. Maybe it's the guy on the right. Minus 11. N equals 11. Plus 9. N equals 9. Oh, this is actually negative 11. I'm sorry. Now, here's my question. Do I throw out the negative 11?
No,
Why?
because it's not like a length.
Yeah, a length or a time or something like that. So it even says here, note there are 2 different pairs of consecutive odd integers. So one pair is going to be negative 11 and negative 9. The other pair is positive 9 and positive 11. Isn't it true that the product of each of those pairs is 99?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the scoop as far as that goes. And that's how we get it all done. Any question about that?
No.
Okay. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to start the next one. Then I'll go over it with you. Go ahead. There's a larger and a smaller integer. It's not about shape, so I set up a table. Doesn't matter if you put your table in a box or not. Now, it says the product of these integers is 28. So, x times 2x minus 1 is 28. And I get 2x squared minus x equals 28. As Andre said before, we get the 28 on the same side. 2x squared minus x minus 28 is equal to 0. Now, at this point, there is no common factor. So what do I do if there's no common factor?
Multiply the two.
Yeah, plan B. So we get rid of that, multiply it by 2, and I get x squared minus x minus 56 is 0. That's a pretty easy factoring. X minus 8 times x plus 7 is 0. Maybe it's the guy on the left.
Don't you have to divide first?
Oh, God, yes, thank you so much. Divide by 2. X minus 4 equals 0. And then 2x plus 7 equals 0. Add 4 to both sides. X equals 4. Minus 7 to both sides. And I get 2x is negative 7. Divide by 2. And I get negative 7 over 2. Now, do I reject, this is what I was thinking when I raced ahead before. Do I reject either of these answers? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, just two.
Which one do you reject and why? Which one?
That one.
Yes. What does it say these are in the problem? The larger of two what? Integers. Do integers include fractions? No, integers are whole numbers, positive and negative. So the correct answer here is 4 and 7. Okay? Hasta la vista. Adios. Ta-ta. What perfect timing. Smile a lot. Ciao. Arrivederci. Adios, amigos y amigas. Karen and Olivia, I need to get me one of these things for the neck. Apparently they're very popular, and I don't have one yet, so I feel like a dork. I think I need to get one. Olivia's going, you are a dork. Math teachers are dorky by definition.